joining GC, she was a talent partner at DFJ and DFJ Growth and was one of the first human capital specialists hired inside a venture firm. Prior to becoming a VC, Katie helped to launch an SF-based boutique search firm with a focus on building early-stage companies, go-to-market teams, and strategies. She's lived in the Bay Area for the past 10 years, is an active participant with multiple local not-for-profits, including the SFSPCA, homeless prenatal program, Community Grows, and Summer Search. On the weekends, you can typically find her on her road bike or in Marin's trails with her golden retriever.
Thanks. He's right here. He'll probably pop up at some point tonight. So thanks for having me. Welcome.
I don't know what number we're on now, but Chris Brower is another one of our sharks. In addition to being Katie's lucky husband to be, Chris is the head of growth at FAIR, where he has worked for over 2 years. Before bringing his expertise to FAIR, Chris worked for Bain & Co. and Apartment List. Chris is a dedicated dog dad to Moose and also enjoys going on long bike rides, but he has to wait for Mr. Knapp at the top of every hill.
It's not always true.
I threw that in for you, Chris.
That's pretty good. I see what you did there.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Anna Yurchenko, who was our first speaker, first guest speaker at SLI this year. She's a UX designer at Google Health and is a local leader at the International Design Association. At Google Health, Anna, with a team of doctors, scientists, and engineers, is creating products that use AI for medical imaging to increase the availability and accuracy of care.
Welcome back, Anna.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Glad to join. Yeah, I also have Shark here.
Oh, we love it. Perfect. Thank you, Sharks. We're going to go ahead and get started. So just a reminder of the format. I know I said it earlier, but I wasn't recording earlier, so I want to make sure I get it for anyone that wants to watch this back. Each group will have a total of 15 minutes. They can use that as they wish. My recommendation to each group, again, was to keep their presentation part between 8 and 10 minutes and leave about 5 to 7 minutes for questions and feedback. Again, the feedback, Sharks, is what we're really looking for tonight, and let us know kind of where you would take our ideas as they work into next fall. All right, Marina and Sophia, back to you guys. Let's get it going.
Soft.
So the first group we have Adrienne Law with Peace of Mind.
And Adrienne, do you want to project your own screen or do you want me to run your slides?
Is it okay if I can share it with you?
Yeah, for sure. Share it with me and we'll get going. Adrienne, did you not share with? I thought you shared with me when we practiced. Did you not? I thought, oh, they're. Like,
yeah, I think I did. I'll just redo it.
Thanks. Yeah, just so it's not the top of my inbox. I don't see it in my drive. Got it. All right, here we go. When you're ready, Adrienne.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Adrienne, and I'm a current junior at Sacred Heart Cathedral. And aside from SLI, I'm also involved in student council at our school, and also I am the co-moderator of Science Olympiad Club at our school. So jumping right into my presentation, I would like to introduce my project, which addresses mental health for teens, but in general, I would like to target the young audience, which can consist of children, adolescents, and young adults. The name Peace of Mind came from the catchphrase, a piece of my mind, I guess, which essentially insinuates that the goal for this project is to tackle mental health struggles through tranquility and upliftment. The main inspiration for my idea was sparked through personal accounts and also through my experience interning under a certain organization, which taught me about mental health and its effects on certain minority groups. Would you mind going to the next slide, Mr. Knapp? Looking back in 2020, there were lots of adversities that each of us faced through our time in shelter in place. And although the pandemic did contribute to an increase in children and adolescents having emergency department mental health scares, the general data actually suggests that the adolescents experience one of the highest levels of mental health compared to other age groups. And highlighting the most recent data from the CDC, there has been a 24% increase in 5 to 11-year-olds and an increase of 31% in 12 to 17-year-olds of rates of mental health related visits for children and adolescents. In addition to that, the emergency department visits have also increased for patients under 18 by 69%, only for psychological factors.
Adrian, am I on the correct slide right now?
No, it's the one before.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Okay. So looking at the general data of the CDC, 1 and 3 high schoolers experience some sort of persistent sadness and hopelessness. And unfortunately, some groups are more disproportionately affected by others, such as females, colored, or those who struggle finding their sexual identities or identify as LGBTQ. And knowing that children and adolescents are vulnerable to these risks, there has been a call to implement certain programs to promote and alleviate stress and management. So this leads me to the reason why I chose to pursue my project in this route. As a teenager myself, I would like the opportunity to take action and to help my fellow contemporaries who may be struggling and facing challenges. Mr. Knapp, would you go into the other slide? Yes, thank you. Before jumping into the mission of my project, I would like to make note of a disclaimer and acknowledge that this project is by no means trying to replace or even compensate for the official medical assistance from professionals. Rather, the purpose of this program is to more or less stimulate a healthy online environment for teens to play a positive role in each other's life. That being said, the goal is to provide a peer-to-peer program that allows teenagers, especially those who may be underprivileged, the opportunity to write and message to each other anonymously. Together, the established community can help empower the generation as they face new challenges. And through this process, those who choose to get involved have the option of writing a letter and also receiving a letter from another person. Next slide, please. Through my project, I hope that there will be beneficial impacts to all parties involved, which consists of having an online accessible support system for people who are in the same age group, because or specifically for those who may not have that privilege in their own life. And also being able to practice resilience and recovering from personal hardships would be a great addition to the program as well, and allowing teens to take action in their peers' lives. In addition to that, I wanted to create a program that allowed for a place that people can feel welcomed and receive words of empowerment, but also reciprocate the same good deed to another person, and an environment that normalizes talking about mental health from a young age and allowing children to build healthy habits of encouragement, which will benefit long term. And lastly, and of course, uniting people together is the main goal in order to reinforce the idea that no one is alone through the challenges of mental health and stress. Next slide, please. So next, I would like to discuss this past year's progress and what I've achieved thus far, and also some future plans I hope to accomplish. Reflecting back on this year's progress, I spent most of my time researching and also actively asking for insight from people who've created similar organizations to learn from their process and how they're able to fully execute their project. I was able to seek help from a fellow SHC student who actually created their own nonprofit, and just asking them how the journey was like and how they are able to fully succeed on their program. I spent most of the time also experimenting with website layout and seeing what may be the best format to maximize engagement if I do want to pursue it from an online environment. And then I also contacted my previous internship organization, who was able to connect me with local youth organizations that specifically help and support underprivileged groups in our city. And I'm currently working with these organizations to plan out a structured partnership. And now looking forward, I've also established certain goals for the next few months. And looking ahead into the summer, I hope that I can finalize the background for my project and launch the website to the public. And then in 6 months' times, I hope to maintain the website, continue to partner with local organizations, and improve outreach to expand to a larger targeted audience. And hopefully by the 12-month mark, I'll be able to partner with local grammar schools and after-school programs near the SHC neighborhood, which allows children to write empowering letters to their peers and develop healthy habits of encouragement and seeking help when needed. Next slide, please. So on this slide, I just included the local partners that I'm currently talking to, and those are About Face, Huckleberry Organization, Oasis, and Oasis for Girls. So for About Face, they focus on women involvement in social justice, and for Huckleberry, they choose to empower those who overcome adversity in personal, social, and economic life. And for Oasis for Girls, they help women find their voices and confidence to bring change in our society. And also included on the slide, I just had some simple prototypes that I wanted to include of what the website would look like, and also what some of the cards would look like to add like some personalization to it. Next slide, please. To wrap up my presentation, I would like to ask the Sharks for your assistance as I develop my project. I would truly appreciate your insight and perspective from a more experienced background. As a student and teenager myself, it is an important representation for my project, but I do think it is slightly limiting, of course. And in addition to that, I would love to gain some new skills with website design, of course, and also techniques for outreach in the future. And finally, I would hope to secure some financial assistance on future supplies. Currently, at the moment, I don't need any large finances, but in the future, I hope to be able to fund the website and also be able to use certain essentials in order to distribute all the cards needed for local organizations. And my contact information is also provided below. And yeah, thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Nicely done. Sharks, we have about 6 minutes for your questions. You can either just unmute yourself, raise your hand. You can use the little raise hand function, however you want to get my attention. I'm pretty good at noticing people when they raise their hands. So yeah, Katie, go ahead.
Thank you. Adrian, that was awesome. Thank you for that presentation. The deck is beautiful. I was saying to Chris that I can't make a deck that looks like that. And he said he couldn't either, which after multiple years in consulting is a huge compliment. So that was awesome. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about the product itself and how this service is going to work. You mentioned anonymous letter writing and obviously letter receiving, but you also mentioned asking for help when needed. And so I'm wondering like how I as a user would actually interact with the offering.
Right. So I think by baseline, I would have an online like environment for engagement, and that would allow for a place where people who want to get involved to receive letters from like anonymous people, or also provide like empowerment letters to another party. And I guess the aspect of like seeking help would come in if the certain person involved would be willing to do like almost a pen paling idea where it's both two-sided, but like the main intention was to initially keep it anonymous to secure like protective reasons, but also to I don't know, to keep it distant in a way for just like liability reasons as well, because I know that especially with mental health, it can become a touchy subject with like more extreme cases, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could go on to the platform theoretically and say, hey, I would love to get some notes. Like I could almost like volunteer myself to receive notes, and then you would help orchestrate on the other side who had said they were willing to send notes
Right.
and put the two in touch.
Right. Yeah. And then I guess initially my direct audience would be just those who may not have that privilege of having a support system at home. So I had the opportunity of working, just interning last semester with an organization that focused on just helping the underprivileged and having giving them certain equity services in order to allow them to succeed. So I think being able to, I guess if that's my main target point, it'd be more one-sided of just sending them letters, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Stefan,
Yeah, thanks.
you're up next. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Adrian.
Adrian, first question, what is the minimum age you're trying to target?
I feel like long term, I would like to be able to reach the age group of just middle schoolers and maybe 6th to 8th graders, and being able to expose them to mental health and just healthy habits from a young age. I don't want to do anything like too serious, of course, of getting into like involved with all like the complexities of mental health, but just being able to establish that habit of empowerment and encouraging others in that same mentality going into high school would be beneficial, I think.
All right, that's good. So 6th to 8th graders. So what is that, like 11, 12?
Mm-hmm.
So with those kids, how are, other than, I work with 6th to 8th graders too. So I know they don't go to websites looking for mental health stuff. So how are you going to get them to your page and to your product? And yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think initially, even before I decided to do my own project, I was personally inspired by the way my middle school ran. We had a homebound system almost that allowed us to connect to people who were in homebound services, and we were able to write with them. And I would like to essentially take the same approach where I would go into the certain partnered school or local grammar school in order to like introduce myself, maybe have a few workshops before even introducing just the website and the mechanics of that as well.
Good. I was going to say, make sure you have a physical process of it if you're trying to get kids that young.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Right.
All right, Adrian, we are out of time for you. Sorry, Chris, quick question. We actually have like a minute. You can do it. Squeeze it in, Chris, please.
So quick question for you, Mike. Did you guys get into lean methodology at all, customer development in the schedule?
We touched on it a little bit, but not, yeah, you'll see like different groups have hit different levels of that.
Okay, so Adrian, really great job doing this on your own. Presentation was super solid. The deck was very explanatory. My one thought that keyed in on as you were speaking was you did a lot of research about what other groups are doing, and this is such a mission-driven, sensitive topic that you're talking about, that probably the number one thing that it sounds like you might need to do more of, and it's probably it takes the most courage to do, is get out and actually talk to some of the kids and find out what do they want to participate in, how do they want to be served. And it sounded like you had your own personal story that you were sort of reacting to as the genesis of this project. Mm-hmm. So I would say it's really tough to be vulnerable and talk about situations that you yourself might have gone through. You yourself are a key example of what you might want to see in terms of how you might want help provided to you, or if you're going to go talk to other kids, how they want help. So right. Talking to people who you want to serve is probably the best thing you can do at this stage. Not right. Websites, not cards, but just talking to other kids.
Okay, right. Thank you for the feedback.
Excellent feedback, Chris. Thank you very much. Okay, Sophia, who do we have up next?
Next up, we have the Pledge of Pact. They're actually doing a poll for their presentation. So.
Mr. Knapp, I sent you the slide deck. If you
Yep,
could
I got
share
it.
that. Perfect.
All right, you should be seeing them.
All right, so we are the pledge, and this is actually a place where you can give us feedback on our shaping and developing project. So we have two sort of working titles, the pledge or the pact, and we have different logos that we could change the names for if needed. So as you get a better sense for our project and our mission, if you could drop that in the chat or talk about it later in feedback, that would be really helpful. And yeah, so next slide. We decided to open up with a quote, and that quote is, "Success is achieved by ordinary people with extraordinary determination." And this quote really applies to what we're trying to do here, because with the pledge, and you'll find out later in the presentation, but with our platform, like, you can do anything, and that's what we came here to do today. So my name is Margot Hart. I'm one of the co-founders. Other than SLI, I am on varsity tennis. I'm the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, and I'm in a bunch of different clubs. And sorry, I'm a junior also. I should have said that before. Yeah, we're all juniors, but I'm Capin. I'm a part of multiple extracurriculars, such as the performing arts, the varsity lacrosse team, and I'm also part of a few clubs outside of SLI, but I'm also part of the I2 Scholar program.
I'm Claire. I'm also a junior and a DePaul Scholar. I've been involved in athletics and performing arts, but currently, other than SLI, I'm involved in a few clubs such as TEDx, where we write speeches.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm also part of the tennis team, and I played lacrosse last year, and I am a part of a few clubs at SHC, such as CSF.
So the problem we're addressing is that oftentimes teenagers don't feel that there is an effective way to make change in their own community. For example, one way that teenagers often try to take action is by posting on their Instagram stories important things that have been happening, such as the Black Lives Matter movement and just all the societal changes. But that's more to raise awareness, and we wanted to make more of a concrete change. So we came up with the idea called the pledge, where it's a new way for adults to create a solid impact within their own community.
Our first goal is to create a platform that allows people to promote causes and create concrete change. And our second goal is to help young adults feel more involved in political, social, cultural, and environmental activism.
So here's an example of a scenario. So here's a quote, or not a quote, a fact. The average American buys 13 plastic water bottles a month. And, you know, if I or someone else is really passionate about environmental waste or climate change, the pledge is here to help them do something about it. So the initial thoughts might be, you know, like, if I care about the environment, I think I might want to reduce waste by eliminating plastic water bottles. But how long can I do this for? Maybe a few weeks, possibly a month. And then the next step is, what are ways that one could include help from their peers or just moral support. But what we're trying to do here is increase the impact by getting additional assistance from those who share the same ideas. So this is an example of how the pledge could increase your impact. If the person were to reduce plastic water bottles for a month or eliminate plastic bottles for a month, they would use 13 fewer water bottles. But if they got 300 of their peers to eliminate plastic water bottles, they could reduce plastic water bottle usage by 3,914 water bottles. And so this is just showing the impact that could be had with the pledge. Next slide. So our target audience here is mostly teenagers, because teenagers don't have much of an influence when it comes to things that they want to change. Yeah, it's hard to influence something important like in your own community, and much harder, bigger areas that you might want to reach. But a few quotes of what the pledge would be used for were, for example, environmental activism, increasing public transportation, and helping or incentivizing other people to support smaller businesses.
So this is a mock-up of what our platform might look like. This is just an app interface. We might have an app and a website depending on design and funding. So this is what it might look like. You can start a pledge if you'd like to, or you can sign different pledges. So you can see here are some existing pledges that other teens might have started: to eliminate water bottles, buy all Christmas presents from local businesses, bring reusable bags to the store. So it's just, there are a bunch of different things you could do with it. And you can also, a feature that we hope to include would be, you can see the number of pledges and you can see the number of pledges within your school. So it could be a more community centered thing as well. So you'll see in the next slide as well that you can choose who you're sending the pledge to. So it could be to your school only if it's more of a SHC focused thing, or any other school, or you could send it out to all the students in California, for example. So yeah, next slide.
Like Margot said, this is another potential interface of what, if the pledge were an app, what it would look like. And it's pretty straightforward. You have the option to start a pledge, and then you get more specific. So what your pledge is, how long you are intending on keeping this a pledge, and you can also edit it once it is a pledge. So if it's gaining a lot of support, you can change that for a longer duration. And then just a quick description and overview of what your pledge is, so that other peers and potentially other users of the app, once we expand, so that they know what they are signing to. And then, like Margot said, this is what your pledge could potentially be available to, but hopefully if this gets enough exposure, we could expand to not just our school, but bigger things like the Bay Area or California. Yeah, next slide.
Our long-year plan is to talk to teens about what they want to see in an app, and we're going to work on designing a simple web page and collecting feedback on that. We're also interested in hiring an app designer to help make our app more effective and easier to use. And overall, we would love for our product to be introduced to a larger audience and come back next year to assess our long-term budget.
Okay, very nicely done, the pledge or the pact. We are here to hear from our sharks, so we will turn it over to you. We have, again, about 6 minutes here for any questions or feedback that you may have for our group, The Pledge.
I can jump in with some questions.
Please.
All right. Hi, girls. Nicely presented. I'm curious, what motivated this project? Where did it start from? Can you explain that a little bit? If you did, I missed it. I'm sorry.
We didn't really explain it. I think it all started because we all are pretty politically involved and aware, and we all felt like, especially during election time, we all were really invested in the issues and felt like we couldn't make that much of a change because we couldn't vote. And especially with BLM and other issues, we wanted to find a way that we could help teenagers make more of concrete change. And we saw that the main way that people were raising awareness was through social media and just posting things. And that was sort of to a level performative. And so we wanted to help find a way that
students could become more involved.
Okay. With these social media channels that you guys were seeing people posting stuff on, number one, what were those channels? And what do you think were the failures that those channels either didn't solve, or did they create their own problems?
I think primarily Instagram, sometimes Twitter. And I think the main fault of those, while they're really helpful in raising awareness, is that they just don't do anything beyond that. You can post all you want about reducing water bottles and reducing environmental waste, but until you actually take action about it, it's not gonna make a change. So either you can go to.
I just want to step in. So yeah, mostly Instagram and Twitter. And a lot of the things shared on people's stories were mostly informative. They were kind of just infographics. And while it's very important to spread awareness and educate people, it doesn't do much of a difference if there isn't something else that you can additionally follow up with. And something that I actually found very effective was people would put links in the topics, whatever they were trying to spread awareness of. And they would say, here's the link, it's in my bio, or you can message me directly. But from personal experience, at least, that was what I found had the most effect.
Claire, were you raising your hand to chime in on something?
No, I was going to say the same thing as both of them. I think they did a good job explaining how, even though spreading awareness is super important, we want something a little more hands-on that you personally can get involved in.
Chris, do you have any follow-ups?
I mean, I have lots, but I want to kind of open up opportunity if anybody has questions.
Very good. We'll go Stefan next with his hand up.
All right. Other than just the people who put up the pledges being passionate about that issue, how do you incentivize people to continue to follow along with those pledges and finish them? Not just start them, but to finish them and do them.
I think we're still sort of workshopping that feature. Maybe we'd have some sort of streak going so people could see how long you've been active in sustaining a pledge and sort of holding people accountable to that. That's definitely a place where we can add more. Capen, you can add to that.
Yeah, that is a very important aspect of this. And it is hard to find incentives for things like these. I'm no stranger to that, but I think at the end of the day, it does kind of boil down to, do you really care about this or not? It's hard to fake a passion or fake, I can't come up with another word. So yeah, fake a passion for something that you care about. And I think the whole point of creating a shared platform is that you can bounce off of other people's energy and their passion for something that they want to change. And hopefully by creating these pledges together, everyone a part of that can use each other's strength to keep it going.
Chris.
So this was great. I think this is really interesting. Two things that jumped out to me are because I think there's I think one of the core themes is like, how do you magnify like the impact? Like, how do you get people to like turn these ideas or one person's idea and get that to spread out to multiple people and then move it beyond an idea into action? And so the two things that I would think about are, one, you mentioned you're seeing this on Instagram and Twitter. So how do you help folks that are sharing or posting something? How do you make it easier and lower friction to take that next step towards something that's concrete? Like, is it building this into that feature, or is it a certain app that makes it easier to share? And then two, how do you develop like the proof that someone did it and followed through and like create a positive feedback cycle that rewards that, so other people want to buy in and like take like this feeling and turn it into something that's concrete? Because I think you're tapping into something that's really powerful. And so it's, how do you get that positive feedback cycle going?
I can tackle the first question about how we would make it easy for people to get involved. Um, Kind of playing off the whole Instagram story thing that we were talking about. If we advertised it on Instagram stories that we have seen a lot of and personally know, like grab our attention at first, it'd be easy to, or it'd be easier to like funnel people to this app or possible website. And I think a really important part of it is how even like a small idea you had, such as the plastic water bottle example, it's not super hard to shy away from the smaller things, and that's the most important thing when like the smaller things add up. So it's easy at the start, but then it makes a bigger impact even being so simple.
All right, we are any remaining questions? We're just about out of time for this group. Yeah, I would also say what Marina put in the chat's absolutely correct. If you don't get a chance to speak, but you want to share feedback with any of the groups, we'll have an opportunity for you guys to do that as well later. Because I know we're in a little bit of an awkward situation here tonight where we don't get to like sit down and powwow and things like that, and figure out what feedback to give. So we will have a chance to provide written feedback later as well. Leaders, who's up next?
Next up, we have Murphy Media.
All right. Oh, and do you want me to share your slides, or do you want to take care of it?
Yeah. Do you mind sharing my slides? But I have made a slide template. Can I?
Oh, and you're coming through a little choppy for me. Is Owen coming through choppy for other people? Owen, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me any better now?
Yeah, a little bit better. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And it's the slides you just sent me, right, Owen?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Owen Murphy. I'm a freshman at Sacred Heart Cathedral. And I'm going to be presenting on my business, Murphy Social. Mr. Knapp, do you mind going to the next slide? All right, so my problem that I want to tackle is the fact that COVID-19 has left many businesses facing uncertainty, and that many of them have had to totally pivot their strategies and tackle a different business model, because a lot of their normals have been flipped upside down. And a lot of challenges that I'm seeing small businesses encounter are how do they connect with their customers if they can't have in-person communication, and how do they grow their market without this in-person connection. So how did I get involved, or how did I start seeing this problem? Last summer, summer 2020, or the summer of COVID, I had this summer internship with a pottery company, and I saw firsthand how COVID has affected this small business. Part of my role in the internship was creating an online storefront for the pottery company and also managing social media. It was a really great startup for social media, and it gave me a basis. After our internship finished, I really wanted to continue working with the pottery business because I wanted to make sure they could keep up their online presence. So I offered to manage their social media for 1 hour a week at a very affordable price. And from there, I started taking my social media managing more serious and started researching it and attending a lot of workshops on it. Then a few months down the road, I approached a market food stall at a farmer's market, and I started talking to the business owner, and I saw that we had a lot of the same ideas about how small businesses like his have been affected by COVID-19. And I started telling him about what I've been doing for the pottery company and offering to manage his social media. Next slide, please. So what I if it's not clear what my business will be tackling, is managing small businesses' social media presence. And this includes Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. And here are just some statistics I pulled from the internet about how big social media is these days. You know, almost 4 billion people are active using social media, and that's a whole market that I feel a lot of small businesses are not tapping into. And just for a quick run through of what I have done in my track record. So here is Earthfire Arts, my first Instagram client that I started managing. It is a bit of a niche market, so I haven't been able to do much in growing the account. But I have been able to keep up and keep the members that we do have engaged. So Gumbo Social is the food stall vendor I previously talked about, and it is somewhat of my success story. When I started in November, I started working with Gumbo Social in November, and they had 600 followers, so I was able to more than double their following base. It has been a really great experience for me. It taught me many great strategies of how to grow a small business's social media presence fast, and also how to interact with our following base. Next on is Inner Sunset Merchants. This is a bigger client for me. When I started last month, we had 600 followers, so I was able to grow the following base by almost 200. I'm really hoping to hit the not 800 mark pretty soon. It's a really great client to have underneath my belt, because instead of just working with one business, I'm able to work with all the small businesses in the Inner Sunset. And it also ties into my passion of supporting small businesses still be relevant during these challenging times. And this is a very recent client, Bayview Merchants Association. I started working with them around 2 weeks ago, and I've seen a lot of growth so far. When I started working with them, we had just about 300 followers. Now I've grown it to 345. It's a very different following, and that's something I've had to adjust to. It's really I really enjoy, because you get to work with a lot of small businesses, and I've been talking with a lot of the small businesses and looking at promotions that we can do to ramp up business for them. Next slide, please. And then recently, as of yesterday, I started managing the Sunset Mercantile account. This is a really big project for me. It's to explain what it is quickly, it's, you know, all the farmers markets in the Sunset District, and the what's the word, like all the outdoor markets in the Sunset District. It's a really fun project, because it's you know, very outdoorsy, laid back, fun. But what I'm trying to tackle is how to grow business for the farmers market. Next slide, please.
Oh, and that might be it. I don't know if I have another slide on my thing. Do you have another slide? Owen? Oh. Yeah, I think that's your last slide. Am I frozen? No. Is Owen frozen? Maybe.
Sorry, do you mind to go back up to the presentation for just 2 more minutes?
Yeah, we'll go back to your presentation. I didn't see any other slides.
Oh yeah, there's no more slides.
Okay.
So technical difficulty, seems like my last 2 slides were deleted. But that's all right. So kind of what I want going forward is it's a little thing that I started as a slide hustle, but also as a passion project of how to support small businesses. But it is growing quite rapidly. As I said in the presentation, I just took up 2 bigger clients in the past 2 weeks, and that's something that I would really like help with, is how to manage this business and grow it successfully. I would like a mentor that could help me first off manage marketing, so how to provide more value to my clients, and how to you just be better at marketing. And secondly, somebody who could help me manage the business side, the finances. I am taking on in a lot of different revenue from different sources, so I want to make sure that I have a proper invoicing system and manage that. Third thing that I would like to look at is an online website to make sure that my branding is very consistent and concise. Thank you.
All right, so we will open this up to questions for Owen. Owen, great job in just your first year in the program, coming up with some really cool ideas for us. We will now hear from our sharks with questions or advice. Chris, please.
First of all, did you say you're a freshman?
Yes, sir.
Dude, you are a hustler, and this is amazing. I think I hope you're charging these people, because this is such a massive need for businesses. It's incredible. Anybody that's running their own business, typically they don't want to be bothered with social media, and it's hard to find somebody who is interested in it, passionate about it, competent at it, let alone a freshman. So, dude, what a hustle. That's amazing. I don't want to mentor you. I want to hire you. So I hope you're ready to drop out of school, right, Melinda? You're gonna
Hold the phone on that, Owen.
First of all, it's amazing that you're able to actually focus on all these different directions, helping these different organizations. The need is massive. I think, if everybody paying attention like this, like just having paying clients at this stage of a presentation is a total win, right? So, Owen, what would you say is your biggest need right now? Is it just figuring out how to actually run your own business, or where do you feel like you need help with?
Yeah, good question. I think my main need right now is just how to run an overall business, because I have run into quite a few challenges of how to simple things of running business, of how to send out invoices, how to take in money, especially taxes, because that's something I'm not used to seeing, and I do have to declare all of the money that I'm taking in, and I don't want to run into any issues.
You broke up a little bit there towards the end, but I think I heard you say that you need
just overall
mentorship, taking money and
that can mentor me in managing a business.
Managing a business. Yeah, very good. Any other questions for Owen? Oh, and I think we had a question from Dr. Scrady. Please, Dr. Scrady. I was in the chat, I think, as well.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to say that it's really something very special when someone understands.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, it's just over.
Oh, Owen might have glitched out. Well, we have a recording of this. I can get to him anyway.
Yeah. You know what, Mike?
No.
Mr. Knapp, I'll write him separately about what I think of his criteria that he needs for support. He gave 3 examples. So I'll write him separately because he's kind of catching up on digital here.
Owen, are you there? You got us?
Yeah, I'm here. It seems like connection just got better.
Okay, got a little better. You're still breaking up just a touch. But anyway, Owen, we were very impressed with your presentation. Were you able to hear all the feedback from the Sharks? Okay, you were able to hear that at least. Okay, we also have a recording of it too. I can send you. Any other questions or comments from our Shark team? Stefan and then Chris.
All right, I'll be really quick. I think what you're doing is really, really cool. I have someone in mind that might be willing to work with you on this. I mean, that's part of what my own program is about, mentorship. And literally, the dude who handles all of my social media stuff says he wants to mentor people, mentor kids. So you'd be perfect for him. So there you go.
That is great news. That's why we do it. Thank you, Mr. Gartrell. That is wonderful. Wonderful news. Chris Brower, you had your hand up as well. Chris.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I think two things that I would add to think about as you're doing this. One is you're managing multiple accounts. How can you use these accounts to like build each other's followings and amplify? Like as you build this network, there could be some cool like interactions or partnerships that you can start to orchestrate behind the scenes that would then benefit. It'd almost be like a co-branding partnership, could benefit both of them. The other would be like at a certain point, you may start to, once you figure out kind of the business thing and how you're running it yourself, you may want to amplify this impact even more. And so starting to think about how could you, once you build a process that works, train up other folks to help you do even more, maybe even across the city.
Yeah. I was actually thinking the same thing. Like, how does this scale? Because it already sounds like you're in school full time. You have a bunch of clients. You just signed a big client today, which huge congrats. But yeah, how do you kind of scale this thing? At what point do you max out? How do you think about sort of, expanding out from there, like Chris said?
Yeah, and keeping your quality bar high, because you want all your clients to give you a 10 out of 10 referral. And once you can keep that quality bar high, then you need how much, what's the bandwidth you need in your business to maintain that.
All right, lots of feedback, Owen. Lots of places for you to grow for sure. So great job, especially just in your first year here with us. I'm going to return it back to my student leaders. Who's up next?
The next group is presenting their pet weight loss product.
Ruby, do you want me to share my screen, or do you want to present your own slides?
I can probably present it myself.
All right, let me just make you a co-host really quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ruby. All right, Ruby, you are now a co-host, so you should have screen sharing capabilities.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. So I'm Ruby Southern and I'm a junior. And so my group's presenting we're kind of naming ourselves, we're still debating, but pet wellness. So our problem statement. The problem lies within the fact that the majority of cats and dogs in America are overweight or obese. In 2013, 16.7% of dogs and 27.4% of cats were obese. This number has rapidly increased to 59.5% of cats and 55.8% of dogs as of 2019. So, sorry, I wrote. So we can see these numbers growing so high because of many reasons. The main point here is that the pet owners are at fault. Almost a quarter of pet owners overfeed their animals just to keep them happy. Over half of these owners give their pets more food when they beg for it. Many owners also don't even measure the food consumed by their pets, which leaves over 39% of owners not recognizing their pets as obese. According to the Purina Lifetime Study, obesity can cause almost 2 years off of a pet's life. And so basically carrying more weight on an animal also leads to like their organs being like overworked, which leads to many more diseases that could even be life-threatening and cause like diabetes and many more issues that are more like long-term.
My name is Lauren Wang and I'm a junior as well.
And shown on this diagram, 59.5% of cats are obese and 55.8% of dogs are obese. And these numbers compared to the amount of people struggling with obesity, only 39% of adults in America are obese and 18.5% of children and teens are obese. So we need to care more about the pets that love us.
So our mission statement is basically that you should care about the animals that you're responsible as much as you care about yourself, because after all, they're technically every owner's child. Do you check your dog's weight as much as you check yours? Probably not. For the safety and health of our loving pets, let's change that.
So this would be a prototype of the first part of the project. Oh, my name's Israel. I'm also a junior. But this is a prototype for like the app of the home screen and the profile functionality of it. And the app's function would be would be the weight loss section of it, because according to Harvard Health blog, fitness and weight loss apps where tracking your meals and calories is encouraged helps overweight individuals lose weight at the same rate as meeting with a health doctor daily. And in a day and age where technology is becoming more and more advanced, it's much more convenient for pet owners to help their pets through an app rather than taking them to the vet often. This app would allow users to enter their pet's breed, weight, and activity levels. These inputs would allow the app to enter a database that could send outputs of the healthy weight for the given breed and the proper feeding measurements to do so. Keeping track of our pets' veterinarian appointments and medications can easily become overwhelming. That is where incorporating a schedule reminder algorithm in the app would come in handy. The app could advertise the most healthy food options for pets and even suggest what foods are best for those with allergies. It'd be an all-in-one app to assure your pet is healthy and happy. Next slide. So this is the second part of the project, the scale. We can find several of these health apps that I explained before, several parts of it on the App Store, yet what sets this idea apart is the compatibility it have with a weight scale, a smart weight scale for pets. Functionality and comfort are the two headliners of this product. We'll need a functional smart scale that accommodates pets of all sizes. The scale would need to contain the sensory technology of a regular pet scale, unlike several of the human scales that sense solely 2 feet. The second part is comfort. One of the big issues that owners face is getting their pets on a scale and keeping them there. This means a thin base with a detachable border would be a secure concept for the physical features of this product. Another concept that could be incorporated is a folding function, as it could be easier to store. You don't want like a huge mat just sitting in your living room all the time. It'd also be a pretty viable option to be able to create different size scales for owners of different types of dogs, varying based on price varying based on size. To fit even the largest dogs, we would need a 25.5 inch by 17.7 inch frame. That'd be like the basis of it. Yeah.
So our example problem is my 2.5-year-old Maltipoo named Bailey, and basically he's overfed and participates in minimal exercise. As most dogs probably do, that he begs for food every time my family eats, and we give in to his persistence, resulting in Bailey receiving food from our meal every time my family eats. And this has become a habit for him to constantly beg for and expect food whenever he wants, and for my family to constantly give him food whenever he wants. And Bailey also does not get enough exercise, as me and my sister are busy in school and my parents are working. So at most he gets 2 walks a day, which are most likely less than 10 minutes each time. And the rest of the day he just sleeps and lays down, which does not allow him to burn the excessive calories he consumes each day. Pet wellness would remind me when the appropriate times to feed Bailey are, which would allow for a regulated and healthy meal schedule. It would keep track of everything he has eaten that day to make sure he's on the right track towards his goal weight, which would be
15 pounds as he is currently 17 pounds. And it would also remind me to take him out on walks to get exercise, which would help incorporate a healthy wellness regime for Bailey to reach and maintain his goal weight.
Why would you buy it? A lot of people would say that. I mean, you could just save your money, not spend however much it'd be to buy a smart scale for your pets, and you could just carry them onto a normal weight scale. But then we ask ourselves the question, why do we buy Alexas? Why do we buy smartwatches that do everything your phone does? Or why do people buy Roombas? It's convenience and it's luxury. We don't need a circle that responds to our silly questions when all those questions could be answered on our phones and computers, but it'd be nice. We don't need a watch that shows us our text messages when we could simply pull out all of our phones, but it'd be cool. We don't need a self-powered vacuum cleaner, but it would make our lives a bit easier. This app and scale doesn't necessarily clean your dogs for you or have arms to place your dog on the scale or anything crazy like that, but it undeniably makes your life and your pet's life much easier. So why wouldn't you buy a pet wellness scale to make your pet's life just a little happier and much healthier? And these are some quotes that we pulled from pet owners in the SHC community that just stated based on their own personal experience how a health app and a scale could help the dietary needs and of their pets, dog and cat.
Our future plans lie within the idea of pushing forward the mentality of regularizing the weight management of our pets. The mystery of whether your pet is healthy or not will become a thoroughly known part of your pets' lives. Whether this means striving to get that finished in on the market immediately or pursuing the smart scale product full-fledged, our goal is to simply normalize this idea of caring for our pets' well-being more frequently.
And then Mr. Knapp told us to put one of those like corny Silicon Valley things. So we
I
added
did
in
not use those terms. That's so funny.
I think you did. And so we're not trying to change the world, just trying to make our pets a little happier and healthier.
Best advice ever.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right, very nicely done, you three. All right, you can stop sharing your screen, Ruby, and we'll return to our. All right, there we are. Okay, so we will hear from our sharks. Very nicely done with our pet wellness center.
You can go. Yeah.
Anna, please.
Really awesome project. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And it's I'm wondering overall, like the idea in general and how you want to tackle it is great, but it's basically you want to create tools that people need to look for. And I feel like one of the problems that you're trying to solve is actually people don't want to do this. They really don't want to get upset their dog or cat because it really makes them sad when you don't give them treat or extra food. So just maybe like one of the direction to think about is like it's providing tools is just like one thing, but also how you would change the mindset, how you would tackle the behavioral change of the pet owners. And it could be like all those education mechanisms that you mentioned a little bit. Also could be some, kind of social community related models to actually push people to change their behavior in this way. But I feel like it's often, or like in this specific area, it's not like there's no tools. I feel it's less awareness. So probably like if you like planning it forward, try to tackle both and even like prioritizing maybe the awareness piece a little more.
Thank you.
Really good feedback. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Anna. Any other questions or comments from the sharks? We have both Chris's. I saw Brower and then Nunez. We'll go in that order. Chris Brower and then Chris Nunez.
So one of my primary learnings in attempting to raise a puppy during COVID is that the person or thing that needed the most training was actually me. And so like as the human, how do you train the human to do the thing that you want? Like and really dialing up that is like, that's probably who you're, and I think what Anna said, I think that's probably who like your target is and who you're marketing to and who you're trying to get the behavior change on. And so I think honing in on that, which I think you started to do, of like, okay, who's our target audience? Who's like this core demographic that like is going to get in there? And then how do you start to do like concentric circles around that to the folks that are maybe not the most obvious, like the early adopters, but the next most impressionable?
Yeah, I thought he was going to say that I was the one that needed the most training. So I was happy when he said that it was him that needed the most training, but really it was probably me, because my last dog begged at the table. And so we got Moose, and Chris was like, we're not feeding him from the table. And that's helpful. But yeah, I think just to pile on, I feel like it's definitely good to target like like Bailey isn't overweight because of Bailey. Right, in that example. And so I think that Anna and Chris are hitting on something there.
Awesome.
Yeah, can I respond to
Yeah,
that?
please.
So this app kind of reminded me of like MyFitnessPal, or like those human calorie trackers. And as you guys were saying, it's also important to train like the owners. If like our app has a set goal of calories per se for the dog to intake each day, like if they're begging for at the table, like I guess the app would just be like, you could just remember that you have to stay within the calorie goal. And if you continuously give them that extra food, like you wouldn't stay within the goal the app wants you to stay in. So
Well, I
that's
just say like it's more of like an informative thing. It's more like an option. So like when you're putting in your dog's breed and all of that, it's kind of like informing. It's like I think the percentage was like 39% of pet owners don't even know what their pets are supposed to be like getting food wise, like measurement wise. And I feel like that's a huge like informative part of the app, like technology wise, or like just like it's more like informative and educational, the app sense. And then the scale is more just like the part where you like put your own dog to the test and like be able to keep up with it daily or weekly or however much.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Chris Nunez, and then we'll move on. We have two presentations left on the evening. Chris, go ahead.
All right. Katie and Chris, I totally understand. And I got your back, Katie. With any marriage, it's almost always the wife going to be training the husband. So you got that to look forward to. Two questions on research for you guys. Number one, yes, when it comes to pets, if you guys are dog owners, it is almost 100% about training the owner, and the dog is not going to be one using your app. So it's going to be the people. Did you guys look into things like Noom, where they're doing psychology training of people about their own weight management? Because that seems like where this potentially would be headed. Did you guys play with Noom at all, or any of these other things that are not just calorie trackers?
No, not quite. No.
Okay. The other question I have for you on the research front is, doing hardware is really hard because you're talking about fabrication and sourcing and probably international manufacture. Did you guys look up or research other available pet smart scales on Amazon?
Yeah. There's no smart scales that like transfer data to like your phone or stuff like that. It's like it's more just like of a huge like scale that you just kind of get the number there. It's like that.
And you think that that's like a really a massive missing element in this equation, having the scale?
I'd say that it's more like I said, like in the thing, it's like more convenience and luxury. Like you don't necessarily need it. It's not one of those things that people are going to be like, oh, like my pet needs this now. It's more one of those things that like, I don't know, you're just going to see and you're just going to make like an impulse buy, I'd say. Just to put it simply, like not going to beat around the bush, but like it's not something that everyone's going to want, because it's like spending money on something that's kind of irrational and kind of like you kind of have to get yourself to like bargain with yourself to get that for your pet.
That's a good mindset to go into this with.
Awesome. Thank you. Very good. All right. So we are going to move on to our second to last presentation. Marina or Sophia, can you introduce it for me?
Next up, we have What a Waste.
All right. And what a waste. Do you guys want me to share my screen or do you want to present your own slides?
Oh, can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, for sure. I'll do it right now.
All right. We are What a Waste, a fun, competitive card game that teaches children how to properly sort their garbage and take action to reduce the amount of garbage accumulating in landfills. Hi, my name is Alex, and I am a sophomore and founder of What a Waste. Outside of SLI, I like doing dance and musical theater, and I am the co-captain of the debate team.
Hi, I'm Holly, and I'm a junior and part of the marketing team for What a Waste. Outside of SLI, I like to play piano and guitar as well as ski.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm a junior and I'm in charge of graphics. I like to do musical theater, throw the javelin, and I'm currently the director of TEDx Youth at SHC.
The problem that we're trying to address with What a Waste is the increasing amount of trash in landfills due to improper disposal of waste. The world generates 21.5 million tons of food waste every year. If this waste were composted, it would be equivalent to taking 2 million cars off of the road. This waste building up in landfills also causes CO2 emissions equivalent to that of 20.6 million passenger vehicles driven for 1 year. Composting helps reduce methane gas emissions that would be produced in the landfill and tackles global warming. Various studies have also proven that people do care about our environment, they just don't have the information to know how to dispose of trash properly, which is why we wanted to create What a Waste, to educate people on where to put their trash and to motivate them to recycle and compost.
A problem that we face at SHC is that our trash bins are filled with a collection of garbage instead of them being in their own separate bins. If we could separate our garbage properly at SHC, we would be able to save 23% on our trash budget. This problem extends outside of school as well. As a community and society, we should focus on the action of recycling and composting, because in the future, responsible disposal will create new jobs involved with companies that create recycled materials. As you can see, responsible disposal has long-term benefits that impact our world and are quite important. Our mission statement is that we hope to teach children the importance of responsible disposal in a fun and engaging way. This will educate children and reduce the impact our wasted garbage has on the environment.
While our target audience are 8-year-olds, our customers are parents and teachers of elementary school kids. We chose 8-year-olds because they would be able to master the skills they learn to dispose of trash properly, and they would be able to carry these skills throughout their life. What a Waste teaches them a concept that they can instantly learn, and it's easy to use, and it keeps them engaged by presenting this material in a fun manner. This also appeals to parents and teachers because they can teach this material without using long presentations. Teachers can incorporate this game into their curriculum while keeping students engaged with the subject. Parents enjoy What a Waste because it is a way to educate their kids while the game works with the whole family.
What a Waste is an environmentally based card game in which the players place garbage cards in their bins to earn points and sabotage other players and prevent them from gaining points. Players can then use event cards to help further their chances of winning or preventing a competitor from winning. So competitors can place the garbage cards in the right bin to earn points for themselves, or again, sabotage other players by placing it in their incorrect bins. Each trash card is worth a certain amount of points, depending on which bin you place it in, and this is determined by the symbols on the cards. Here are some examples of the cards we've created. Each garbage card is color-coded to teach people which bin each card belongs to and earns them the most points. The event cards are colored in purple and are used to change the game in the player's advantage.
So far, we've created an original prototype of What a Waste, tested the game, and gathered feedback, which we used to improve the gameplay and redesign the cards. We finished our second prototype, which we'll be sending out shortly for another round of feedback. In order to evaluate the efficacy of our game, we've also created a pre and post test for all players that would help us gauge how much the players learned and provide us with feedback that we could use to improve What a Waste.
Last year, we have tested our first draft of the game with 3 groups of people. I tested it out with my peers, my family, and my little brother's friends and learned a few things. Firstly, we need to add more point earning cards for the game to go by quicker and provide more opportunities for people to earn points. When playing with my family, I realized that the garbage cards needed to be color-coded so that they could easily and vividly provide a mental image on which bin the card goes in. I also needed to implement a scorecard to keep track of the points, which we have worked on this year. All 3 audiences enjoyed What a Waste, which shows that this is not only for little kids, and it could be used for a family game night because everyone can have fun. One of my favorite quotes from one of my last year's participants was, "I learned how to have fun learning about trash." His statement solely encompasses both aspects of our project, which is to have fun while also being able to learn how to responsibly dispose of trash.
What a Waste is in competition with the top card games for kids, other environmental games, and the standard, less exciting methods of teaching how to throw out waste. What a Waste is better than other card games because players subconsciously learn information about disposing waste while enjoying a fun and competitive game. Parents also like that their kids are learning applicable life skills while they are interested and invested in winning.
We are looking for a mentor that can be or help us connect to a designer and illustrator and help us produce What a Waste. Currently, we need a final design for the product. An illustrator would help turn our effective prototype into a game that also looks creatively pleasing. Then we could send it to a factory. A high school designer, like myself, cannot provide as much as a professional designer could. So it would be beneficial for us to work with a professional and see how the design of our cards could look and then turn them into a final product. Also, we need advice on how to manufacture the game. We are considering contacting factories once we have finished our final draft of What a Waste, and will send the product to the fulfillment centers who can then send them out to our customers. We would greatly appreciate any help and advice given to us, as this would help make our product available to as many people as possible.
Currently, we have a second prototype of our project and we need to test it to gain feedback and the effectiveness of the game. After we receive feedback from our customers, we would edit our draft in order to have the game finalized and ready to print. A graphic designer would then help us design our cards for us to create a pretty prototype that we could use to contact a factory to propose the final project of What a Waste and gain an estimate on how much publishing the game would cost. Finally, we would create a Kickstarter page to help fund the production of What a Waste, advertise to the community, and let us know the minimum quantity we will need to make. Our goal for What a Waste is to be able to sell the game and make it available to everyone. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation. Are there any questions?
Very nicely done. What a waste. Great job advancing your idea from last year. We love to see that kind of continuity and longevity of ideas. But I'm going to turn it over to the Sharks. Sharks, the floor is yours for your advice or questions.
I just wanted to say it was really cool to see like you said, the continuity. That was really cool. I'm very happy to see that an idea didn't die over a year. I like that a lot. The other thing is, I like the fact that you took a lot of our advice from last year. So that makes it harder to come up with advice for this year. But one of the things, like I saw Mrs. Grady, you put up a digital aspect of it, which I think would be interesting. I know that you want to make the hard copy first, which makes sense to get the game out there. But just for the future, because I already know that you guys are going to keep doing this because you already did it and you continued it now. So that being said, the idea that I was thinking of that you guys might want to like look into is Khan Academy for kids, like on how they use a lot of their games that they kind of create for kids to teach them stuff. Look into that and to try to take the next process of going from a board game to a digital, because I definitely think that that's going to have to be the next process. And because my kids do play Khan Academy for kids stuff, it does work for kids that around that age range. So
awesome. All right. Thank you. Very good. Excellent. Any other questions or pieces of advice from the Sharks? Mr. Nunez, Chris, go ahead.
I actually have the exact opposite advice. I think it's great to have something that's physical and non-digital. And especially if you're aiming at some of the younger kids, you know, my daughter who's 7, she wants a device. We don't want to give her one. So she might have a family device, but having a physical card game, I think is a great thing to have around that doesn't require batteries. You can play it anywhere. And so there's lots of, there are a lot of examples of great card games that are very successful. So I don't necessarily think it has to be digital. Depends on who you're trying to get the game in front of. I also want to commend you on what seems to be really great user testing. Keep that up for sure. I'm curious, did any of you video record any of the play sessions so that all of you can review like how these sessions went down and talk about it collectively? Because the gameplay mechanic is super important, and it sounds like you're going to still work on that. And so being able to review those sessions in video, it will be helpful so that you're not just trying to do it anecdotally. And then my last note was, did you guys, or Mike, did you guys talk about gamification, the concept of it?
A little bit, but like during the year, but not recently, but yeah.
So just if you start Googling gamification, right, it's probably one of the most important concepts in Silicon Valley in general, because more and more of our lives are becoming gamified or have game elements worked into them. And that could be leaderboards, that could be points, that's just competition. But you know, even our company meetings, we're starting to turn it into mini golf sessions instead of sit around sessions at a table, right? So gaming just across the board is weaving itself more and more into our lives. And so you obviously have created a game, but all of these little elements of the competition and the points and et cetera, those are really important concepts for you guys to really just grasp. And it's only going to serve you moving forward. So well done.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Any other comments from our Sharks? We got a lot of positive comments in the chat as well. So I want to thank you guys for that. All my little chat people. Thank you. All right, we have one presentation left on the afternoon or on the evening now. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them because both of our student leaders belong to this group. If you've been coming to Shark Tank for a couple of years now, you know ahead of the game. We always like to, like we said with What a Waste, we like to see that longevity and continuity in projects. So they are our last group of the day. We're going to get an update for them on what's been a year that I think even they would tell you has had some twists and turns, but here they are ahead of the game, back for year 3, I believe. So let's go for it.
Hi, so we are ahead of the game. I am Sophia. I'm the president and founder, and here's our pitch.
All right, my name is Jack. I'm a freshman. This is my first year with Ahead of the Game. I play baseball at Sacred Heart, and I'm also a member of the I2 Scholars Program. So the problem that Ahead of the Game is trying to solve is that sports have gotten to the point where you need money to play the sport competitively. And so as you can see from some of these rough numbers that we have on the screen, sports can cost a lot of money, even a sport like soccer where you only need just the ball because of travel expenses and other things. And so this has created a problem in our society where people's financial situations have affected participation in youth sports. And we found this really important to change because everyone should have the opportunity to participate in sports, no matter if you can pay for it or not. Speaking from personal experience, like sports has had a huge impact on my life. And it's just created so many connections. So I think it's really important.
Hi, I'm Reese. I'm a sophomore, and this is also my first year with the head of the game, and I run cross country at SHC, and I'm also a member of CSF. And I'm going to be talking about our mission. So at Head of the Game, we aim to provide the means for children, especially those experiencing financial instability, to participate in sports through free clinics and equipment donation. And we feel that all children should have easy access to fun and enhancing sports as well as physical activity.
Sorry, I realized I was muted. But as you can see with these above statistics, participation in sports has many benefits. Like as I, for one, cross country team helped me assimilate into SHC, and it helped me make friends during a transition period from middle school to high school. And I really feel like everyone should have a chance to experience something like that. Plus it's fun, it's like good for your health, you know, the endorphin, just everything. So I think sports are a vital component of a healthy, successful young adult. And since when I ran the clinics last year, you know, with Marina and, you know, the freshmen will do it next year, so many kids were interested. So I really want to make sure that there's a place that they can continue this.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm a senior, so I've been with the head of the game for the past 3 years. I'm one of the founders, and I want to talk a little bit about our local partnerships today. So Boys and Girls Club, as you can see from the size of it in the middle, is our main partnership. The Boys and Girls Club is a national organization with local chapters all around the country, and they provide after-school programs for underserved youth in particular. And we've been partnering with the Dawn Fisher Clubhouse location, which is located in the Tenderloin, very close to Sacred Heart Cathedral. And we've been doing that for about 3 years now. This will be our third year. And before the pandemic happened, we were hosting clinics there twice a week, anywhere between soccer clinics, volleyball clinics. We had some pretty great dodgeball games, and we always had very competitive warm-up games of sharks and minnows. So those really brought out some of the fun competitive sides of the kids. And since the pandemic has hit, we've created a YouTube channel with short workouts that we've been able to share directly with the Boys and Girls Club so the kids can continue their athletic participation even when we can't be with them in person. And Marina will discuss this further in a minute. And we've remained in touch with the athletic director. His name is Daniel. And once it's safe enough, we are all ready to jump right back into in-person clinics. Up on top is another after school and summer program in the Tenderloin, and it was founded in 2001, and it's a little more local, and we've just started working with them last year, right before the pandemic hit, and we hosted clinics there once a week for the weeks leading up to it. Both of these programs provide kids with access to academic help, mentorship, and a safe social environment. And that's something that we all really care about. Seeing as were able to grow up with such circumstances, we are happy that we can then provide the athletic opportunities to these programs. And then Salvation Army and Sports Basements are places where we've been able to donate a lot of our equipment donations. So over the last years, we've gathered a lot of donations. That's through our school sports drives, through donations from friends and family, and even our own equipment from when we were younger. And for any of the Sharks who were there, who've seen our last few presentations, they'll remember the big picture of all of the gear stacked up in Marina's room. And y'all will be proud to know we've actually donated all of it since then. So it's no longer in Marina's room. And they've gone to the Salvation Army and Sports Basement, who have redistributed the equipment back to the communities in need. And of course, lastly, Sacred Heart Cathedral. Without Student Launch Initiative, we never would have built the foundation of our program. And from there, we've moved on our own. And so we've gained the guidance and mentorship from guest speakers and from Mr. Knapp and Mr. Stanley. And that's what we needed to then create Ahead of the Game.
Hi, Sharks. I'm Marina. I'm a senior, and I'm one of the founders and the director of operations at Ahead of the Game. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about where we are today. So, as some of my team members have mentioned, we have created a database for all of the sports gear that we collected over the past 3 years so that we can keep track of sort of what we collect, the monetary value of it, and where it goes after. We have currently collected $2,411 of gear, and the database that we use is called Airtable. We also designed some pretty cool t-shirts. As you can see, I'm wearing it. We've given them out at all of our clinics, and we even gave them to the Sharks last year, and we would love to do that again this year if we were in person. We have also had 7 in-person sports clinics. So those were all before COVID hit, just over the years. There might have actually been more than 7. Honest, it was at least 7, but after we got into a good rhythm of 2 a week, it was pretty much like a straight shot of just clinics and clinics. So that was really awesome. We also, through our clinics, established a large base of volunteers. Our volunteers are just any of our friends who are also varsity athletes and have a huge passion for soccer or volleyball or whatever sport they participate in. And they can also be students from different schools, just people we know and get in touch with through our website or anything like that. We also strengthened our 5 partnerships, as Caroline previously talked about. These are incredible organizations, and we're so thankful that we can partner with them. So because we have been doing Shark Tank for 3 years, we also have a Where We Are Today continued, because I couldn't fit all of the stuff on just one slide, not to brag, but so because we were hit by COVID and our in-person clinics were sort of halted, we sort of pivoted to the more digital side of things. Because that was all we could do. So we created a website, which you guys can check out at www.aheadofthegame.sf.org. We're still working on building that website, but it's kind of good to have that domain and platform that we can build upon in the future. We also became more active on our Instagram account. We started posting more, spreading awareness about Ahead of the Game, and gaining a following was pretty important to us. We also started a YouTube channel and posted virtual workouts and sports tutorials so that kids could access Ahead of the Game benefits virtually, and so that they could stay in shape while sheltering in place. And as Caroline mentioned, we were able to sort of share those videos with the Boys and Girls Club so that we could have more of an audience for those videos. And we also registered as a nonprofit officially. So we got our 501c3 certification, which was super awesome because now we can accept donations. And the main focus of this year was also recruiting future members. So as you can see, we've got new members on our team who will hopefully continue with Ahead of the Game once the 3 of us seniors move on to college, and we will still stay with the team and mentor them, but it's really awesome that we can have some new members coming in to take over.
So due to the pandemic, unfortunately, we haven't been able to hold any clinics, but fortunately, social media has been a big part of expanding Ahead of the Game during this time. And it's been a way for us to kind of stay in touch with our partners and continue on our projects. So as you can see from the videos on our YouTube channel and the information on our website and on our Instagram, we post workouts and other games and such that the kids have easy access to at home. So it's still a fun way for them to get involved. So if you want to find out more about us and what we do, feel free to follow our Instagram or subscribe to our YouTube channel or just visit our website.
Hi, I'm Alyssa. I'm a sophomore. This is my first year at Ahead of the Game, and I play volleyball at SHC, and I'm going to be talking about expenses. So everything highlighted in blue are the items we've already invested on, and everything else are things that we hope to spend money on in the future. We did plan on investing on them last year, but we didn't get a chance to because the pandemic hit. And in the future, we are also considering investing in advertising on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook to promote clinics and YouTube videos.
Okay, hi, I'm Jackson. I'm a freshman and I just joined the head of the game this year. And so I'm going to be talking about both our short-term and long-term future and our game plan. So as mentioned, we have a lot of seniors heading out this year. So it's going to be very important to, carry the torch down to those such as myself, the new members. And I know that some of them are going to carry on their roles and stick with the program, but it's still important to just like, as I said, carry the torch and just have the new people kind of pick up the slack. Again, as mentioned, we need to start moving to online. I know we've made our YouTube channel, our website, and we've grown on our Instagram page, but as we move on, we're going to have to possibly expand on that and just see where that takes us, given by our next point, COVID. So as we all know, COVID hit last year, and that has really halted our progress. And so even though the future is very uncertain, we're just going to have to roll with the punches and see where it takes us, and just hope that we can possibly make something out of this challenge, and maybe add something new to the program that wasn't there before, and maybe even strengthen it, be a gift in disguise. So next slide, please. So for our long-term agenda, we need to find new ways to help. As we've said, we've been doing clinics and making YouTube videos, but now that we have moved more online, we're gonna have to find new ways to be able to assist and do what we've been trying to do. Again, solidify our new roles, and just trying to, that might make the program different, but different is not always bad. So just trying to figure out where we are after this next year and just moving up forward from there. And then as we've mentioned, just building off of this new online aspect that we've started, and just seeing where it takes us. And we can't really tell you what's going on with so many things in the way with COVID and seniors leaving and etc. But just building off of our online program and just seeing where doing what we can in the moment is just going to be really important.
So this is my slide. How can you guys, the Sharks, help? So the main thing in general that we're asking for is just a mentor. And basically, like Jackson, other members of Ahead of the Game said, a lot of the upperclassmen are leaving this year for college, or at the end of this year. And so it's going to leave a couple of the members who will still be at SH, having to control it a little bit more back here in the city. And because of that, that's obviously a lot more work, and this is my first year with the Head of the Game. And so we're asking for some help and advice for future advancements that we can make, just someone that we can talk to and reference when we need help. And then also one example of this is last year when we collected gear from donations, we weren't prepared for where to store it. And so it ended up being stored in Marina's bedroom. This obviously wasn't the best way to do that. And so for situations like that's obviously a small thing, but something that we could use a mentor for, and just for someone to talk to. So yeah.
So as you can see, this is our team, and there's also 4 new members, which are the next generation of Ahead of the Game leaders.
Thank you so much, and please follow our Instagram and check out our website and our YouTube. Mr. Knapp, you're muted.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ahead of the Game. You guys continue to be a strong force for good in our immediate SHC community or adjacent community there. I know that it's been really cool, you seniors, to watch you guys kind of start this as an idea in a classroom as sophomores. And then you went through that phase where you just had all that equipment in Marina's bedroom, and it seems like you're on to bigger and better things now through the help of the Sharks and the advice and mentorship you've gotten you've received throughout the year. So we're all really proud of you. And we're excited that you guys are continuing up the passion for the project. Chris and Katie have a collective hand up, so I'll go to them, but we will have plenty of time for all of our Sharks to have advice or questions. Chris and Katie.
It's so cool to see you guys continuing to work on this and to see you passing the torch to a younger generation. I think that is just so, like, what a legacy to leave at the school. And you guys should be really proud of what you've built and the fact that you're sustaining it. I think that's just awesome. And congrats on the 501c3 status. I know that's not easy. And again, kind of preserves a legacy for you guys and really makes this feel more real, right? It's like a whole other element of learnings, I'm sure. I'm curious, like the pivot to online in COVID was so smart and obviously necessary. I'm curious if you guys feel like as we hopefully move away from COVID, move back to, in real life, do you want to continue to invest in both an online and an offline strategy, or do you hope to really return to that in real life, just cognizant of like also the team and the changes and leadership transition and new folks coming in, right? There's maybe what you would do if you could do, if you had a huge team, you could do everything, but I'm just curious how you think about prioritizing that.
Yeah, I can sort of grab this question because I was like, when COVID hit, I was like not gonna give up, and I was like texting everyone like, guys, we need to do something. And so I actually think that it was initially just to do something while COVID was happening. But I think as we found, it has been pretty effective, and we could get more like advertisement and like engagement with it. So although I do think it's like more important to do in-person clinics because I think they're the most impactful, I do think that we shouldn't just like cancel out that whole online element that we've discovered. And obviously it's going to be up to like the newer members to decide what they want to like focus their energy on and like what they find more valuable as we're in college. But I do think that both like the new element we've discovered is just as important. And so we can kind of try to tackle both just because the online element is just simply like recording videos and occasionally posting on the Instagram account. So I think we could either recruit, like a lot of the videos we made were not the team, but like some of our friends making videos like about soccer, stuff like that. So it's not necessarily that much work for the team itself. We just have to like recruit volunteers who are able to do it, if that makes sense.
Totally. And then just a quick follow-up question on that. If you do want to continue with the online strategy, how do you guys invest in really getting just more distribution there and making sure that folks are seeing the great videos and the content that you're producing?
Well, for one, just to like add on a little bit, I think if we do have those online videos, since we have current members that are part of sports teams at SH, they would maybe record a workout or something with the team even, which could be really helpful. And through that, we could also possibly ask the lifting coach to distribute this as part of like maybe some assignment. We have Coach Poise, I'm sure all the athletes have like weekly lifting with him, so they could probably work something like that out and have it spread out through the school. Or we could also I'm part of the SHC Emerald newspaper. So, I could pass it on there where they could send a link out on Schoology or the Instagram even, and get that YouTube, more engagement.
Yeah, and I was just going to add also, we could with the funding that we have, because we haven't spent all of it yet, we could also pay for like Instagram and like YouTube ads, and that way more people like across the country and across the world could discover the videos too. Instead of just directly sending it to like people we know and people who have come to our clinics, which I think is awesome. But I think we could have more of an impact through the online, while the in-person can only be like in San Francisco. But through like advertisement, if we spend money on that, we can sort of like broaden our range, like our audience.
Potentially, yeah. And I would also explore the partnerships that you guys have and whether those are good distribution channels for your online content.
Yeah.
Excellent. We actually did, I think one of the Boys and Girls Club like mentors that we had over there really liked the idea of online. So if we could maybe get a partnership with their YouTube channel or something, I think he mentioned something like that. So thank you.
Stefan, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah. So tell Daniel Lapa I say what's up. He's legit. The Boys and Girls Club group is a really good group to work with. What I was gonna say was, well, I had something I was completely written down that I was gonna ask, but then you guys said something and I'm just gonna say it because it's not written down. It's make sure that you're not diverting from your mission. Because going digital and like online, your mission is to make sure that kids get access to play these games for free and learn how to like this equipment. Your mission isn't to show them how to do these things, right? That's just an added thing. So you had to do that because of COVID, but when COVID's done, make sure that your group, that because like you said, the seniors are leaving, that they understand that the mission isn't to show people or show kids what these sports are about, right? You want to give them access to be able to play these sports for hopefully for free, right? That's like your whole mission. So don't forget that part because of COVID forced you to pivot, but don't completely pivot away from what you're trying to do, just because you're starting to see some sort of response. So that's number one, because I had to do the same thing. And I had to make sure that we didn't completely leave what we want to do within my own program. The other thing is what you can use these, the digital stuff and online stuff for is to scale and to bring awareness of what you're doing to get more volunteers so that you can then go to more schools or more organizations and stuff like that. So because you already created this content, make sure you use this content to bring volunteerism in, to spread the word about who you are, so that then you're able to impact and work directly with more kids, right? So make sure that's what you use it for. And lastly, create a handoff in the sense of introduce your freshmen to Daniel, to the other group, so that they know them well, and then have them come alongside for every single meeting that you guys have until you leave, so that it is not a drop off, because you want to, like, you have now created a system where you guys are consistent. You've been doing this for 3 years. These kids are looking forward to this every year. You do not want to let them down. So make sure that you focus on creating a handoff and letting your freshmen start being in the inner circle and in these meetings so that they know what's going on when you guys are gone.
That's tremendous feedback. Thank you very much, Stefan. I'm sure that the Ahead of the Game team will continue to use the amazing feedback of you and all of our Sharks. Very nicely said. Chris Nunez, go ahead, Chris.
Hey guys, it's great to see the continued enthusiasm around this. Listening to Katie's comments and Stefan's comments, part of my feedback is probably driven from the fact that I'm no longer in San Francisco, so I can't really assist with the local stuff and the local mentorship. So where my mind immediately went was to ask you about, how are the kids that you're serving, how are they currently interacting or participating in your online content? Does anybody have an answer for that? Is it mostly just watching videos and commenting, or how are they participating?
I can answer this one.
Oh yeah, Caroline, go for it.
Yeah, so when I've been speaking with Daniel the last several months is that the Boys and Girls Club have been able to go back in person. They're just not allowed to bring any outside volunteers due to COVID precautions, and they've also limited the number of kids there. So some of the ways in which our videos have been helpful is that Daniel has shown them on a big screen and then brought out the equipment for the kids to use and like work simultaneously with us in the videos. And then a lot of the videos are mostly body weight or like fun activities that don't necessarily have to involve equipment. And so kids are able to participate with them at home when they're not, because they can't go to the Boys and Girls Club every day. And so it's been through that kind of system. It's not perfect, I agree, and it's 100% our intention to go back in-person clinics, and we all know that's the most fun for us and for the kids, and it's our best way to involve with the community, but that's the way in which our online platforms have been, at least hopefully, somewhat helpful in the last few months.
Okay. My follow-on comment to that is, and this is for everybody, not just for you, Caroline, but when we design our experiences, our art installations, we design it so that it's not just us broadcasting a message out to an audience. We design everything so that it's participatory and interactive so that the audience can send stuff back to us as well. It's a dialogue. And I'm curious if there's a way for you guys to still lean into this online content pivot, but have more opportunity for the kids to send stuff back to you. And where my mind immediately went was even trying to tap into what Owen is potentially doing with social media stuff, right? Can you potentially create like sports related TikTok challenges where you're trying to get the kids to participate in some way so that they're feeding content back in and helping to foster a sense of community even online with their activities? So it's not just you guys trying to broadcast content out and collect comments, but it's about engaging these kids. And then, yeah, to Stefan's point, if you can get this stuff online and keep it going, scale is obviously there because you're talking to the whole internet as opposed to just San Francisco. So that might even be an opportunity for you if you catch one of these little viral moments through one of your challenges, let's say, there's some great learnings there that are even outside of this program.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chris. Thank you very much. I want to thank all of our presenters tonight. I know we went a little bit over time, but all of the presentations that we saw in about 10 minutes per group are representations of like hours and hours of thinking and crafting ideas and going back to the drawing board and revising things and just hours of hard work. And all year, you guys at SLI, our kids, you guys have always come on Tuesday nights, like 8 p.m. ready to go. And some nights when I'm not even ready to go, you guys are ready to go. And I just appreciate all the work in what has been a hard year for us. You guys came through, you continued on some existing projects, you came up with new projects, you brought your talents to the table repeatedly. And it was a really inspiring year for me as an adult leader. And I was very lucky that Marina and Sophia were my student leaders this year because they were obviously tremendous helps the whole way through. With that, for the last time, I'm going to dismiss the kids. Any adults and Sharks, I'm going to ask you to stay on for like 2 or 3 more minutes. Adults, SHC adults is optional for you if you want to go. If you've had a long day, of course, you can dismiss yourselves. I see Melinda. I know you've been traveling all day, Melinda. But Sharks, if you don't mind staying on with me for another couple of minutes, I would appreciate it. Everyone else, for the last time, peace out. Have a great rest of your evening. I will see you tomorrow in school.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great job, guys.
Great job.
I'm really sorry to interrupt. I just had a quick question. It's a little
What's up,
bit
Caroline?
separate, but Chris, did I hear right that you went to both UCLA and Georgetown?
Yeah, UCLA undergrad and Georgetown, but for law school.
I'm really sorry for interrupting, but may I please have your email to maybe email you sometime? I'm trying to decide between those 2 schools for college, and I was just hoping if I could maybe chat.
100%, yeah.
Caroline's got some good news recently, Chris, about colleges.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. How should I share that email, Mike?
You can just pop it in the chat is fine, Chris, or I can give it to Holly, or I can give it to Caroline if you want.
All right.
I'm really sorry for interrupting y'all's chat.
You have nothing to apologize about. Caroline, these are the questions you should be asking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's good hustle.
Okay, well, y'all have a great night, and thank you
All right.
again for your help.
Sure.
I'll see you, Caroline.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. All right, so we have student leaders and SHC adults and Sharks. Okay, so here's the deal, Sharks. Obviously, this year we're not giving out money. I really appreciate your time. I know a 2-hour Zoom call in the middle of the week is tough, but you guys were tremendous and you had great questions.
Anyway. takeaway, so it's no big deal.
Right. Yeah, no. You guys had great questions. And I think our kids got a lot out of it. So I just want to say that I continue to appreciate all of you. But also, like, as we go into next fall, like I said in the email to you, we're going to keep the commitment level very reasonable for you guys. Like, I'm not going to be, the kids are pretty autonomous, as you can see, like they kind of take their own ideas and run. But if there are any groups that, or individuals that you felt like you would want to maintain a connection with, or keep things go as an ongoing way to touch base. But you have my word that I'll limit it to a couple emails a semester. They're not going to be bombarding you with new stuff every week. But I would love to be able to create some connections. But obviously, I understand too, if you guys just want to stay as Sharks, there's a no pressure situation for everybody. Or if you want to sleep on it and get back to me in a couple days, that's fine too. It's a kind of a no pressure situation, but I also want to give you guys the opportunity to have a mentorship relationship with some of these kids.
So what I would say is, like, it's awesome. I think it's so great that